Did Liverpool bottle the Premier League title race against Everton? They lost 2-0. And in this video, we're going to break down what went wrong for Jurgen Klopp and where Liverpool go from here. My initial impression is, of course, it's such a disappointing result, especially against Everton. There's something ironic about Everton kind of damaging Liverpool's title race to such a massive degree based on the amount of times Liverpool got crunch goals, crunch points against Everton in title races where they have gone on to win it or at least competed a little bit closer than this season. Obviously, I'm thinking about that Jordan Pickford off the crossbar moment and a couple of others as well. That Salah goal where he tucks it in on his left foot. There have been some massive games between in the Liverpool derby, and this one felt significant for many, many reasons. My initial overview has to be that Liverpool have not bottled the Premier League title race, and actually this season has been a lot more positive in terms of a transitional season than it needed to be. Last season, Liverpool were dismal. Last season, they were completely burnt out, devoid of creativity. And within a transfer window, they've got rid of a lot of dead wood that the next manager, we'll talk about that later in this video, but the next manager will be able to use the likes of McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai, Endo, Gravenberch, Cody Gakpo potentially as well, Darwin Núñez, Diaz. There's a lot of relatively new faces, whether 1 year or 2 year kind of periods of time at Liverpool so far. Whereas Liverpool side are massively in transition. The whole of the Liverpool midfield has been completely upended. Look at Jordan Henderson, what a leader he was for Liverpool. And that's all changed within the last 9 months. Let's be completely real. So Jurgen Klopp, before even announcing, had a massive job on his hands. And the fact that Liverpool have been able to compete, haven't lost to Man City this season, competed with Arsenal in one of the games, obviously lost to Arsenal at the Emirates. And they've just fallen away because of a couple of reasons, in my opinion. And they're not even that deep, in my personal opinion. The first one has to be a little bit of burnout from the Jurgen Klopp message. I think a lot of people realise that the Jurgen Klopp leave-in announcement video would create a lot of emotion, a lot of nostalgia. I actually saw a massive, upward trajectory in terms of running, in terms of energy, every time I watched Liverpool in the following weeks. And obviously a few weeks after that, they won the League Cup in extra time. The kids did it for Jurgen Klopp, and it was a beautiful kind of send-off. And it might be the only send-off that Jurgen Klopp gets in terms of a trophy now. But I saw it then, but in the back of my mind, I did think once one nail goes into the coffin and a few players realise that this is the end and it's getting closer and closer, there will be this kind of lame duck president vibe about it where players will maybe run out of ideas. It might not be intentional. I would never question the commitment to Jurgen Klopp. Even the final minute of his final game, I think Liverpool players will be running through brick walls for him. But there will be a switch off 5%, realising that football's a quick sport. The game's over, the season's over, and we're on to the next season. We're on to the Euros. People are thinking about their transfer moves. People are thinking about where they potentially will retire. And we'll talk about Mohamed Salah in a minute, who I'm kind of relating that point to. So on some level, Jurgen Klopp had every right to announce when he wanted to announce. I think the wheels have come off a little bit quicker than even I would have thought. I thought at least they would have got past Atalanta, get to Dublin, get to the Europa League final, for example. Let's talk about the game itself. I don't know what else Jurgen Klopp can do with the side that he put out. That front three against Everton had so many chances. It was actually embarrassing how bad some of the misses were. The Darwin Núñez one where he's clear through on goal and he can just put it into the far corner of the net and he smashes it straight at Pickford. Luis Diaz, very, very similar chance as well. Ball comes over the top. He kind of volleys it straight at Pickford. And football's a game of fine margins. If Sergio Aguero doesn't smash it near post against Paddy Kenny against QPR, then who knows where City's trajectory builds from there. And you never know with this Liverpool side, if they'd scored more chances. I'm thinking of that Crystal Palace game as well. I'm thinking about the Man United game, even in the FA Cup as well. Multiple games where in the last few weeks, the chances really have been so poor in terms of execution. At the start of the season, Darwin Núñez was looking decent, Diaz was looking decent, Jota was looking decent because it felt like they'd score 1 and 2. It felt like a kind of 1 and 2. They get a big chance and miss it, but they'd score the next one. Now it kind of feels like 1 in 4. It feels like 1 in 3, and particularly with Mohamed Salah, we have to talk about where Salah is now. I think he's got 1 foot on the beach. I really do. And if there's a beach in Saudi Arabia, then I've got that spot on. Because I think Mohamed Salah is off. I really do. And it's not to fault him. It's not to question his professionalism, because he worked hard in the game against Everton. He's not sitting there as a passenger, not caring about the club. But his finishing is so poor. And that opportunity he had, it's kind of a half volley just on the edge of the box on his left foot, and he completely slices it. And then the rebound, it goes into Rosed. It doesn't go into the Goodison Rosed. It goes into the new Everton Stadium's Rosed. That's how far away the chance was. It was crazy. And you think, what's happened to this player? In the last 7 games, 0 goals that are non-penalties and 0 assists. It's really, really frustrating, even as a football fan, because he's one of the Premier League greats of the last 5 to 7 years. What he can do on the ball is absolutely incredible. His pace, the way he beats people, his skill and trickery. And we're not seeing that. We're really not seeing that in the last 7 games, the last 10 games. He obviously had a bit of a knock after the AFCON, and he's just looked so flat. He's looked devoid of ideas. And Mikalenko, who's not a particularly fantastic left back. He's a decent left back. I've always rated him to some degree. He's not shocking. But him and Branthwaite, you just think they absolutely mopped this guy up. They absolutely took him to the cleaners. There are few and far between sort of big chances for Salah. And the one I talked about, he absolutely shanked it. And it was a little bit embarrassing how bad it was. Yeah, and it was almost like a Darwin Núñez miss. And you thought always Salah brought that calmness. He always brought the goals. Before the AFCON, he was going on for potentially Player of the Season award territory with the amount of numbers he was racking up. There's no question about it. But in the last 12 weeks, he's been so poor. He really has been so poor. And that's why Liverpool lost to Everton, because the balls around the corner were fantastic. Trent was popping up beautifully. The ball in the first half over the top to, I think it was to Salah as well, was absolutely outrageous. So this Liverpool side got so much quality about them, so much to think about in the future. But against Everton, completely devoid of execution. You could even argue they were devoid of ideas. Maybe Man United, Chelsea at points, Spurs maybe in the last couple of years. Devoid of ideas, devoid of creativity, a little bit flat. This Liverpool side is still creating chances. They're still doing things to the highest level until that final 5% where you've got to tuck it into the back of the net. And this Liverpool side have not been doing that. And I don't really understand why. The work rate is there. Yes, Jurgen Klopp's leaving. I've not seen a dip in that kind of work rate, in my opinion. And then there's just something about finishing where the Liverpool coaching staff, whoever comes in, I did a video on the channel yesterday talking about Arne Slot. You should watch that if you're interested as a Liverpool fan or whatever. He has to come in, if it is him, he has to come in and change something at the club, because the execution of chances is so poor. It's okay if Salah misses a chance, because they used to have Mane, they used to have Firmino. Even Trent could come up with a goal, someone from midfield. Now it feels like, where are the goals coming from? If Salah doesn't score, the amount of chances Darwin Núñez misses is absolutely embarrassing. And he's not improving. I'm sorry. He's improving marginally. It's a bit like inflation. If your money isn't improving by 10%, it's going backwards a little bit. He's not improving enough to kind of keep up with where he should be for the investment Liverpool have made, in my opinion. And Diaz as well. Some frustrating chances. Hits the bar. Hits the crossbar. And you always think they're always hitting the bar. They're never... Sometimes you say, oh, it's a little bit unlucky if they hit the post, hit the bar. Sometimes it is just a miss. It is just a miss. They keep missing chances, and sometimes they flick off the bar. That's what it feels like with Liverpool. So they are out of the title race. The points is now 3 behind Arsenal, but the goal difference, they're 7 goals behind Arsenal. They're not going to make that up. They can barely hit a barn door as it is. But a top 3 finish is so strong, and it's a parting gesture. It really is. For Jurgen Klopp onto the next manager, Champions League football, exactly where Liverpool deserve to be, and a League Cup. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think Liverpool fans will be a little bit frustrated about potentially where it left off. If you're new to the channel, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Lots of work for Liverpool and potentially Arne Slot to do in the future, and I'll see you very, very soon.